So, the FIFA 19 demo has just released, and after playing for 4 or 5 hours myself and feeling like this is the exact same game I've bought over and over again for the past few years, I've been thinking, do we really need a yearly release of FIFA, and other sports games for that matter? Or is there a better way? Hello everyone, my name's Nathan, and today I want to talk about why FIFA shouldn't be a yearly release. So then, in order to understand why FIFA shouldn't be a yearly release now, the first thing we have to do is understand why it became one in the first place. And while the answer would initially seem easy, money is the obvious motivation for any company to do anything, and yearly releases mean they can sell more games more often, it's something else as well. When FIFA games were first being made in the 90s, the game they sold was the game that people played. There was no way to update the game or patch it after launch. What you bought was what you got. And sports games quickly become outdated, with big money moves happening all the time, like Ronaldo moving to Juventus this summer, and with new players breaking through and showing they're worth more than the 67 rating they were initially given. And if you're really into your football, you don't want to be playing with old squads and old players. And so the need for yearly updates came about, with FIFA players wanting to get their hands on whichever superstar had just signed for their club. And hey, if EA could sell you a new copy every year and pocket the cash, well, they weren't exactly complaining. Nowadays though, we have the ability to update games as we go, with updates of several gigabytes being a regular occurrence in modern gaming, even on day one in a lot of cases, release day. And often these days, games are released in a dodgy state and then fixed later. Hell, even FIFA itself has a system in-game to update squads using an online database, tracking transfers between clubs, and even the form of players from week to week. It's already in the game. But when a new version is due to come out, EA stops updating the previous year's game and moves on, leaving you to either painstakingly complete all the transfers yourself manually and update player ratings based on your own personal knowledge, or cough up another £60 to £90 to keep those sweet updates coming. Those squad and player updates are held to ransom every year by EA, where in other games you can expect support for years beyond release. A FIFA game has maybe 8 or 9 months where the developer will actually update the game, and that is purely to make money, since we know the technology is there, we know they can update the game whenever they want. Now, some people will say that it's not just all about the transfers and player updates. New FIFA games actually do have new features too, even if they are so minor you'll barely notice that the game has changed year after year. I mean, the new shooting system that's coming in FIFA 19 may not be revolutionary, but it is a change from previous games. Well, it is true that each new FIFA game brings some new mechanic to the table, such as no-touch dribbling from FIFA 16, or authentic managers from FIFA 17. But even with that said, I'd still give you the same answer. You can patch that stuff in. None of that stuff is so groundbreaking and significant that EA can't just put it into the game as they go. We rarely see an entirely new engine or other huge changes. If we look at other game genres, we see game mechanics all the time that change well after launch. Look at Rainbow Six Siege for example, one of the most popular and profitable games in the world. The devs over at Ubisoft are constantly tweaking and updating their game with new mechanics and systems. Hell, one of the latest operators, Maverick, can burn holes in walls, and that was never possible before. That will have required new code, animations, and balancing. But did they release an entirely new game for that? No, of course they didn't. They released an update because that's all that was needed. And when you do start thinking about FIFA in the context of other games, because that's what it is, just another game, it looks more and more dodgy what EA are doing. I mean, if Blizzard came out and announced Overwatch 2 with the exact same characters and maps, but with a few new animations, and then tried to charge players full price for it, people would rightly be annoyed. I certainly wouldn't buy that game. I'd keep playing the one that's already out, and I've already paid for. And yet every year, FIFA and other sports games get away with doing exactly that. And looking through the list of this year's features for the new FIFA, there's not really much that could justify full price. There's nothing there that makes FIFA 19 significantly better than FIFA 18. Maybe the best argument EA could make is that, well, we added the Champions League to this year's game. And yeah, that is cool, and sure, I could see it be difficult to add an entire competition into the game. Oh wait, no, they've already done that in previous games. With this year's World Cup in Russia, being added into FIFA 18 seemingly without any problem whatsoever. So why couldn't they do that here? The only other issue I could think of is the journey, the single player story of FIFA. But really, as far as I'm concerned now, that thing is right at the bottom of my list of reasons why I play FIFA. Since they took away your choice of which club you're going to play for, and had the main character Alex Hunter play for more clubs in 3 years than a lot of players play for in 20, it's just not a mode worth playing for me anymore. So if that's EA's excuse for releasing yearly games, then I'll say it right now. Stop making the journey and be more consumer friendly. I'd be okay with that, and I feel like a lot of other people would be too. But if, after all of that, you still need convincing, if you still believe that FIFA games feel new and exciting every year, take a look at FIFA 16, FIFA 17, and FIFA 18 side by side. Look at how little has changed over 3 years of games, and there actually has been an engine update in that time period. People could have easily spent hundreds of pounds on these. If you bought all of these games, like I did by the way, you've effectively bought one game for the price of 3, and then with microtransactions and loot boxes on top of it, some people will have spent thousands. Even some basic as basic can possibly be bugs remain in the game from years ago. Personally, I play a fair bit of the player career mode, and for at least the past 2 years, I can't remember if it's 3 years or just 2, certain accomplishments have been bugged, meaning I can never achieve them and never max out my player. So EA aren't even changing enough for the bugs to change, never mind the actual features of the game. Other game franchises at least change the setting and offer a new twist on the game, and people still complain about them getting stale and having too many releases. Look at Assassin's Creed. That game always changes more than FIFA does, but no one complains about FIFA every year. So then, what should EA do? I don't want to just raise a problem here without having a solution in mind. Well, first we need a master FIFA game, a game that will be fully supported for 3, 4 or 5 seasons, with all the player updates and whatever minor tweaks to the gameplay EA wants to make. Then, in an ideal world, I'd love to see all the updates be free. I mean, EA are making insane amounts of cash off microtransactions anyway, so they could afford it, but in a slightly more realistic world, why not follow the Rainbow Six Siege model and offer a season pass every year? It makes even more sense in this genre, with sports being laid out in actual seasons. Players could keep playing the game without a pass, but if they want all the new content they'll have to buy one, and the price should come in at maybe £20, a third of what you'd have to pay for a whole new game. That way EA will still be making money off of the changes they actually do make, but not expecting their loyal customers to pay maybe £60 for almost the same game every year. Now, I'm not crazy. I know that while ever EA are selling millions upon millions of copies of each new FIFA release, there's no way they're going to give up that cash cow. We won't see any consumer-friendly moves without some kind of shove from the market in the form of decreasing sales, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. I mean, it's one of those series that will always sell well, especially as it basically has no competitors now since PES feels like it's pretty much surrendered. And I'm sure FIFA 19 will actually be a good game, since FIFA 18 was a good game, and it's very, very similar. So there's no real incentive for EA to make the change. If EA aren't going to make that change, then I suppose what I'm laying out here is an ideal world scenario. Not one that'll be real anytime soon, but one that I feel would benefit FIFA fans massively. Anyway, that's just my opinion, and I'm interested to hear yours. Do you think EA and other companies are doing the right thing by releasing new games every year? Maybe you like the yearly releases because you can buy a physical copy and have a collection of every year's release? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting at all, I'd be very appreciative if you'd click that like button down below and subscribe for more like this if you haven't already. Anyway, thanks for watching, I've been Nathan and I'll see you next time.